Before I begin, I should say, this video isn't me just bragging I've got spare pots of Colocasia Pink China. I definitely don't. I literally had a few plants that overwintered in the polytunnel after last winter. They've survived alright and they've started growing up now. So I had an idea for a little experiment, because the area where I was going to plant them at the far end of the garden isn't going to be ready yet. So I've decided to focus my plants and my effort onto the middle section for this summer. So I had a little idea in mind, but I know after the last video, Colocasia Pink China, there was a slight bit of an availability issue, but I'm sure by now, hopefully most of you will have bought one if you wanted one, and if not, there'll definitely be some available soon. There's loads of sellers you can get them from. Turn It Tropical, if you go to their site, sign up to the list, I'm sure they'll let you know as soon as they have them in stock, but you have to be quick because I'm sure they'll sell out again really quickly. But anyway, on to the experiment. So if you haven't seen my video on how to grow Colocasia Pink China yet, then there's a link to it just up there. Check that video out first, then come back here. They're an amazing tropical foliage plant, and they're so special because not only do they grow these really big leaves with bright pink stems, but they can actually survive outside in our UK gardens over winter. They're pretty reliably hardy. They multiply really quickly, they're not massively expensive to buy, and they're very sort of easygoing. A good rich soil, some shade, and they'll be absolutely fine. They even grow in full sun, as long as they've got a good bit of moisture. And someone actually commented in my last video saying, have you tried growing it in a pond? And that got me thinking. I know Colocasia are actually grown as a food crop abroad. Elephant's ears, there's quite a few different varieties. I'm not suggesting you eat your pink China Colocasia. I think they're more of an ornamental version and not designed to be eaten. But it got me thinking. At that time, I'd actually just put in a small wildlife pond. I'm not saying it's the finished article yet, but I've actually got a small pre-formed plastic pond in the ground. It's been filled up for a few weeks now, so I thought, what happens if I try growing some of the Colocasia in there? So I'll just show you the actual plants I've got now and then go through the experiment. So here is the small Colocasia Pink China I've got planted out in the ground. And I planted this one out a few weeks ago from a 2-litre pot. As you can see, something's already tried eating it, but no plant in my garden is perfect. It's more about the overall look. And as you can see, it's got a few water stains there. It's been watered quite regularly, mainly because it's near my Gunneras, my ferns, all the hostas and other kind of plants in here that all appreciate a moist soil. So in theory, good conditions for this Colocasia. I will feed it, but to be honest with you, it's more of a feed it now and again rather than religiously doing it every week. And I will rely on the fact that the soil here is quite rich because I spread a lot of manure around this area last autumn. So that one's in the ground and it will get quite a bit of watering, and also it will get occasional or regular feeding. And here are the two Colocasia Pink China plants, the same sort of size, again in a 2-litre pot, that were planted into my, we'll call it a wildlife pond. It's definitely a work in progress. The minute it's actually dropped quite a bit, so it needs topping up. I've not done any planting around it yet to soften it out, but at the minute, all I've done is just put these two plants in here. And the water's quite low, so by the time it's filled up, it will actually be probably level with the top of the bulb, the base of the plant. So I know they're growing in these kind of conditions in the tropics, and they do survive pretty well there. They thrive in these kind of damp conditions, and really I wouldn't have them in here all year round in the UK. I think they definitely turn to mush in winter, but I'm trying it from say June all the way through till around September, and I just want to see how fast they grow and how big they grow compared to the ones in the ground. So as you can see, this is far from a scientific experiment. All three plants were overwintered in 2-litre pots, and I did feed them all at around the same time about a month ago when they started growing. I gave them a liquid seaweed and I put a few chicken manure pellets on top. But the ones that have gone into that pond, they won't be fed anymore through summer, purely because I'm not just going to pour liquid feed into that water. That definitely wouldn't be a good idea. The one in the ground, it's going to have feed, and also it's not restrained by a pot, so it can spread its roots out and get even more moisture that way. So I'm quite intrigued really. Will the one that's in the ground, with the soil, with all the microbiology, with the feed, will that one grow best? Or will the ones in the pond with all that moisture, will they grow better? Is it just a case of a plant needs heat and water to grow well, or will the one that's in the ground have a definite advantage? So both of them, they've got a bit of shade, they're only a few metres apart, and they're under the shelter of this really big cherry tree over the garden here. So they're both very similar sort of growing conditions in everything but the moisture levels. So let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll do an update video around September time. You might even see them in the garden tour video before then, but I'll definitely do an update and we'll see which one's growing best. But let me know in the comments below, will the ones in the water race away? Will the one in the ground do better? Or will they all just die and rot away within a few months' time? Let me know. See you soon.